Peace. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. Today, I want to speak about something that our people suffer. It's called the Florida Evans Syndrome. Now, if you take the lyrics to Good Times, you will know what I'm talking about. And not only that, I'm going to go out on a limb and say Florida Evans was a woman, not Esther Roll, because Esther Roll was down with her people, but I'm talking about Florida Evans, the character she played on the sitcom Good Times. Some of the lyrics says, keeping your head above water, making a wave when you can, temporary layoff, easy credited ripoff, scratching and surviving, hanging in a chow line. Ain't we lucky we got him? Now, Florida Evans, I strike her as self-righteous and a Jesus freak. She would go to that picture hanging on her wall and she'll put faith in that picture, more faith in that picture than she put in the man she married. I remember an episode where JJ painted a picture of Black Jesus. Everyone said it looked like Ned the Wino. And Michael wanted to hang it up for Black History Week. Back in 74, 75, there were no Black History Month. It was just a week. So Florida, his mother, allowed him to hang the picture up for Black History Week. And she kept going back and forth with him about the picture because she said the picture of the white Jesus on her wall is the only Jesus that she know, the one that performs miracles for her. Subsequently, she allowed Michael to hang the picture up. And then some spooky stuff started happening. You know, Thelma finally got a call from the guy she always wanted to date. Michael found $5 in the hallway. Walona got a date. James won a pool game. And JJ wanted to enter the picture of Black Jesus in an art contest. And James, his father, James Evans, played by John Amos, said, "You're not taking my luck off this wall." So he entered a picture of our sweet Daddy Williams. And then a change of events happened. You know, what they call bad luck, some things that didn't go their way. So James said that he could enter the picture of Black Jesus into the contest. And he lost, so they took the picture off the wall. What I'm getting at, brothers and sisters, is that Florida Evans put faith in outside entities when it came to dealing with situations in their family life. She believed in a spooky God, a cloud surfing God. She didn't believe in a true living God. And that's the way our people act today. We look for outside entities to deal with our pain and suffering when it's up to us. If you want to look at that true and living God, if you have a mirror in your house, go and look in the mirror and you will see that true and living God. It is you. And that is the only person who's going to make a change in your life. That's you. It's not an outside entity. It's not Jesus. Okay? It's the true and living God that you will bring out with your prayer and your work, because prayer without work is dead. Faith without work is dead. If you don't get up off your behind and do something about the condition, your condition will remain. Now, This shooting in Buffalo, New York, where a little devil, white supremacist, traveled 200 miles and shot up, I believe, 13 people and murdered 10. Some of our people is going to forgive this devil when this devil himself should be shot. Taxpayers' dollars should not go on him. He traveled for 200 plus miles, or 2 hours, 3 hours, cased the area out when the security guard in the Tops supermarket in a predominantly black neighborhood in Buffalo, New York, when the security guard gave him a hard time because he was loitering and he was soliciting, he said that he's going to have to shoot him. The security guard is a retired Buffalo police officer who ended up being murdered by this devil also. The police officer returned fire, but he had so much body armor on that it didn't penetrate. This shows how much of a coward he is. He go and case the place out, see who's around, and see that the most people who's there are people middle-aged to elderly. And he went in and shot up a bunch of innocent people who were just shopping. To all the brothers and sisters who are out there who's saying it wouldn't happen in your hood, I hope it doesn't. Yet if they do come to your hood, these active terrorists, white supremacist shooters do come to your hood, I will hope you would be ready and take this person out as fast as he arrived or she arrived, because there's no telling. If they are hitting soft targets now, it's only a test run for hard targets. Don't think they're just going to hit soft targets. They will up the ante. Now, back to the Florida Evans syndrome. Our women, black women, need to get out their mind that a black man or herself shouldn't have guns around them. It's black women that will say, I don't want a gun in my house because they're dangerous, somebody might get hurt. Yes, you, if the gun is not in your hand. A gun is dangerous when it's not in your hand and it's in the culprit's hand, the perpetrator's hand. That's when a gun is dangerous, when it's in somebody else's hand pointed at you. That's when it's dangerous. Now, New York and its strict laws, this little devil was still able to get his hands on AR-15s and all that body armor in a state that has some of the strictest gun laws. Yet, some of our people, even some men, don't want guns in their homes, which is absolutely insane to me. That is insane. When you see what's going on, you see the climate in this country, for any black man or black woman to say that they don't want a gun in their possession or in their home, at least in the event that there's a home invasion, in the event that somebody run up in your house and try to take what's yours because there's a food shortage, and when there's no food, and when they're talking about this right now, white supremacists is talking about this what they call it, race replacement theory. What they try to do, they use the word theory to dismiss it as a theory, like they do with critical race theory or conspiracy theory. It's not a theory, it's a conspiracy. When you have actual facts and when you have evidence that it is a conspiracy, it's not a conspiracy theory. When you have something called critical race theory White people put the word theory on there, but it's not a theory. It's just American history would be critical of them. That's the problem they have with it. It would be critical of them telling the truth about them. They don't want our children to know, and they don't want their children to know. And as far as this race replacement theory, they put the word theory in front of race replacement because they want us to think that they're not talking about it. They put it as a theory to dismiss it, so no one would be suspicious of their acts and their conspiracies. Because the race replacement theory is what inspired the shooting, along with other things. I really think that the judge in the Kyle Rittenhouse shooting, the murder, it's not just a shooting, the murder. I think that judge inspired Peyton to do what he did because he thinks he's going to get away with it. Because the Judge Schroeder, in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, hindered the prosecution from doing its job. He hindered them. He did all he could. He actually went as far as bullying the prosecution, turned the courtroom into a bully pulpit. And consequently, Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of murder. He traveled from Illinois to Wisconsin, got a straw purchase on a AR-15 that someone else bought for him because he was a minor. He was 17 years old at the time. He was a minor. He couldn't purchase the weapon, but he was still allowed to walk around Wisconsin with it in front of the police and everything. See, speaking about the police showed absolutely no anger toward this murderer in Buffalo, New York. No anger. They're not mad at him. They didn't rough him up or nothing. They shoot us because somebody said we had a gun and we don't have a gun. They shoot unarmed black men to death. But they knew this man had a gun because he put the same gun he shot the people with to his head, fronting like he's gonna kill himself. No, he got sympathy from those devils, and they took him in alive, where he should have been murdered on the street, just like he murdered those people in Tops supermarket. He should have been murdered just like them. But they took him alive. They shoot us because they think we had a gun. They knew he had one and took him in. Just like they shoot unarmed black men, but they bring in a man who set off bombs in New York and New Jersey and shot out with him. Had a shootout with the police in Elizabeth, New Jersey, and they took him in alive. They didn't smoke him. Why? Because he wasn't a black man. Even the one who set off the bombs in Boston at the parade took him in alive. And our people are saying that we don't need guns. We should have guns in our house. Anyone without a conviction should have a gun in the house. And if you are a convicted felon, if you determine you're going to get your life together and you're not going to get in no trouble no more, I still say get a gun. Just don't have it, keep it in your home. Especially if your crime you went to jail for is not a gun charge, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to get a gun anyway, if that's not your charge. And if that is your charge, if you determine that, okay, I'm not going to get in trouble no more, I think you should still have a gun to protect yourself. Nobody should be hindered from protecting itself. Now, another episode of Good Times, sticking to the subject, the Florida Evans syndrome. There were people being robbed and mugged in Cabrini Green's projects in Chicago. where the good time scene is set, Cabrini Greens. So James went and he purchased a 38. Of course, Florida, with her self-righteous, she gets on my nerves. With her self-righteous behind, saying it's dangerous, we shouldn't have a gun, somebody might get hurt. But you hear that somebody's being robbed and people being mugged, and you're going to hinder a man from protecting his family. If somebody kick your door in to come in and do a home invasion in your home, if you don't have any weapons, that man can have your way, or his way, in your home. And I think it's absolutely insane to not have weapons in your house. It's insane. In some states, it's against the law to not have guns. It's against the law to not have guns, especially if you're white in certain states. But James called the family. He told the family he didn't want anybody touching the gun. And if anybody touched the gun, they're gonna suffer dire consequences. Don't touch the gun. So the next day, Walona comes over and says some kid was shot with a gun that fit the description of James's gun. I don't know why James would think that his gun would be the gun that the child was shot by, yet he couldn't find his gun. He couldn't find it. He looked all over for it. Turned out Michael found his gun. Michael is the baby, the son, the one they call the militant midget, but he's as militant as RuPaul. Michael found the gun and hid it from his father. Hid the gun. And when he took the gun, he pointed the gun up and shot it, and the gun discharged. Now, if there ever was a time for a child to get their ass kicked, that would have been it. If my father told you to do something, you better do it. If my father told you better not do something, you better not do it. If I tell you as your father, don't do something, you better not do it. If I tell you to do something, you better get to it. Or there will be dire consequences. But nothing happened with Michael. See, James was big and strong in physical strength, but he was weak up here. He was weak because he let his wife manipulate him. He had the Florida Evans syndrome himself. He let his wife manipulate him. And some of our people have the Florida Evans syndrome, looking for others outside of ourselves to deal with our situations. No one is going to contribute to our salvation because it's our job. Now, as far as critical race theory, how can we expect white people to teach us about ourselves? That's ass backwards. We are supposed to be teaching our children critical race theory. Parents need to stop being lazy. Pick up those books and study those books yourself and teach your children about themselves and who their enemy is. And teach them what your enemy has done to you, because they're living in this world where they think, it's a TV world. This stupid Jesse Jackson crap, Rainbow Coalition, which is something that doesn't exist. There's no Rainbow Coalition. All the colors are not united. And we need to get off that foolishness. The reality is we have an open and consistent, because they have been consistent, we have an open and consistent enemy. And I keep telling my people, everyone wants to be everything but black. Indigenous, I'm American Indian, I'm Choctaw, I'm Blackfoot, I'm Cherokee. All of those people were probably in that top supermarket that day. Do you think Peyton Gendron was going to ask them, what's your nationality? What's your heritage? No. He looked at their skin. That's what he looked at. He looked at their skin, and that was enough to murder them. It's dangerous when we constantly argue about who we are. That's dangerous. They're on code. White people don't care if they're from Ireland, Italy, New Zealand, Germany, London. They don't care. A white man is a white man is a goddamn white man. They don't care where you're from. They're going to get on code, but we can't seem to get it together. We have these microscopic, stupid-ass arguments about who we are. Your skin is your uniform in this war that's been waged against us. People always ask, are you ready for a race war? We're not ready for a race war, but a race war has been going on for a long time. Some of us ignore it. Some of us won't fight it. Some of us participate in this race war to our own detriment, thinking that they're not being this impartial person that wants to be friends with everybody. And we can't be friends with everyone. You got to choose a side, or a side going to be chosen for you. We need to get off the Florida Evans syndrome, because it's not that type of world. If you listen to the lyrics of the theme song Good Times, it doesn't mention good times, it mentions struggles. Then it says, ain't we lucky we got them. That's why Esther Rolle left. That's why John Amos left, because he was threatening the writers, because they was playing us. They was struggling to get up $70 to pay rent, struggling to get up $30 to pay this. They were just playing us. Florida left because he said JJ's, his character was a buffoon. She got tired of the buffoonery, rightfully so. Now Esther Rolle was down with her people, but she just played the Florida Evans. I'm not talking bad about Esther Rolle. Esther Rolle was down with us, because she was with Malcolm X and everything. So now John Amos left, Esther Rolle left. She came back to do the last season, but she had left when she so-called got married to what's her name, Carl. She got married to him. She had left, and they brought her back for the last season when Thelma got married. They just ended it. It's something. When they finally move out, that's when they end it, because Norman Lear, Gary Keith, and all those producers, not Michael Evans and not the other brother who created Good Times, not them, those producers, they didn't want to see us having a real good time. So they, the minute they moved out of the ghetto, that was the last episode of Good Times. But the Florida Evans syndrome is alive and prevalent, and we need a cure to the Florida Evans syndrome. I can't stand that damn character. This is The Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section. Peace.